Alright, welcome back and happy holidays to all of you guys. I hope you've been able to enjoy this year and have a nice end to your 2021, despite all of the crazy things going on right now. Okay, so a while back I got a comment on one of my videos asking about my specific shift knob and shift boot setup on my car. So I know I am long overdue, but shout out to Max Gomez for your comment and for inspiring today's video, because I thought going over this today would be really helpful for a lot of you who have a C30 and want to change these out. So basically for today's video, I'm just going to walk through the parts that I have on the car, why I chose them, as well as some challenges that you guys might face if you want to change your shift knob or shift boot, because you guys know Volvo at this point, and something as simple as changing out a shift knob or a shift boot is not as easy as you think it might be. So we're going to go ahead and start by talking only about the shift knob. Alright, so since I got that last comment, my setup has changed a bit. This right here is just a little finger puppet pig that I got at World Market. I thought it was a cool little add-on for my e-brake, and yeah, he's been pretty cool. But I'm going to go ahead and take him off so you guys can see the shift knob and shift boot a little bit better. So first, like I said, we're going to talk about the shift knob. And this is basically the condition of my shift knob right now. It moves around freely, spinning and forward and backward. Not very comfortable or confidence inspiring. Basically, the reason I had to do this. Now, I haven't heard of other people having this issue, but basically, the stock shift knob has a pin setup, and the pin inside mine was broken, meaning that I could not remove it. I tried really hard to crack it loose, but I just could not get it off. So my old OEM shift knob was also very wiggly and just didn't feel quite right. So this is what happens when I take off my shift knob. It literally just pops off. So why does my shift knob move around like that and just pop off super easily? Obviously you can see in this shift knob there are threads, but there are no threads on the Volvo shift knob rod, I guess, or whatever you would call it. The shop I took it to remove my OEM shift knob had to literally saw the shift knob off of the rod. It was awful. So now I'm sure many of you have seen this trick before, because Michael from My Name Ideas Were Taken, his YouTube channel, has gone over how to change a shift knob on this car. And I am using his exact method, but as you can see, my vacuum cap is a bit worn and there's a bunch of remnants everywhere, which is pretty sad. So basically, this is just like a rubber or silicone vacuum cap that goes on top of the shifter rod, and that helps to grip onto these threads. But as you can see, especially in the condition of mine right now, not the best fit. So if I were to take these off, let's pop it off. You can see right there, it's completely torn. I had to put more than one to make it a little bit tighter. So when I take off this little vacuum cap, there is my shifter rod. And you can see here, that's where the pin would go. But the pin is no longer in there because it was broken. So there's a pin that goes through there to hold the OEM shifter on. The OEM shift knob, I mean. I'm actually going to be making another video talking about how we can improve this setup on my car, and if you have any similar car without threads on it. So that will be posted immediately after this video. But let's keep talking about the rest of my setup. Okay, so obviously I don't want to discredit Michael's method. It did work for the period of time I was using it, and even now as a temporary fix, it works just fine. Clearly, I need to replace my vacuum cap because it is completely torn. So, as a temporary method, or if you just don't have the budget to upgrade right now, using a vacuum cap on top of this and then using a threaded shift knob has worked for me fairly well. I mean, I've used it for over a year with really no problems other than just kind of minor annoyance with the spinning or just the wobble. And that's because it's just very worn at this point. This little retainer clip right here is from the OEM shift boot, so I just kept that on there. And that's basically it for the shift knob. So with a vacuum cap on here, you can pretty much just pop on any shift knob. It will be relatively tight, but it will have some spin and some wobbling, and over time it'll probably look more like mine with some some damage. So anyway, that's basically it for the shift knob. That is one workaround you can use if you do want to change yours out from the stock one. So now let's talk about the shift boot. Now, this is not the OEM shift boot. This is a boot I got on eBay. My OEM boot had all of the clips here at the four corners break, and it seems to me that the OEM shift boot is very prone to having those clips break. So the problem with that is that the OEM shift boot costs like $60 before shipping, so it's going to cost you roughly $70 to replace what is, in my opinion, not really the nicest shift boot. Again, this one's from eBay. It's not super nice either, but this one costs half the price at about $30. The reason I went with this one specifically is because it included the frame and the clips that attach to this car. As you can see, the shape of this shift boot is framed, and it's not very common. It's kind of a weird shape. So you need to make sure any shift boot you get has that frame and those clips and is designed specifically for this car if you want a proper fitment. So I will leave the link for this shift boot specifically in the description, because as of right now, I think it's one of the best values even to just get this frame so you can use another shift boot if you wanted to in the future. So now going back to Max's comment, where he had asked specifically about how I was able to put a shift boot that does not fit this car naturally onto it and for it to work properly. And all I had done for that, remove this shift boot, take any other shift boot that you want to put on, and just simply put it over this and tuck it underneath so that it's nice and flush, and I'll retain this shape. Now let me show you how to remove this. It's really, really easy, but again, be very careful because these clips do seem prone to breaking. The easiest way I found is to go to the front, just push it back, and that's pretty much it. All I did was push the front, and that's it. It just pops right out. I'm going to take this off so I can show you guys those clips now. So we have the shift boot itself. This is the frame that I'm talking about. This plastic part you can see going around. Let me untuck it really quick so we can see that better. Here we go. So now you can see that there's that plastic frame going all around the shift boot. So these are the four clips that clip into the car. You need to make sure that you have these clips, otherwise it's not going to sit properly. That is pretty much it for the shift boot. Now if you wanted to add another shift boot, again, unfortunately I don't have one to show you, but you just put it on top of this where the opening is here, and then you would just tuck it underneath. So you would just basically have the boot going deeper into here. If it's too long and you fear that it's gonna get stuck on anything down there, I would just cut it. That's what I did with mine. But it's a really good way to ensure proper fitment and allow you to use way more different kinds of shift boots on this car. If you guys are interested in seeing that, I would be pretty open to changing this shift boot probably in the future. It's mostly for the frame. I'm not a huge fan of how it looks, so I can make a video just putting the shift boot over this and doing the install. If you guys are interested in that, just go ahead and leave a comment down below. So that is pretty much it for my current setup. What I'm going to do now is just put everything back together. Fairly simple, just so you have a very clear idea of how this works. Again, this is a bit of a weird installation for a shift knob. You would think it's really, really easy, and it's still very easy. You just need to know about the vacuum cap method, which thankfully Michael has already made a video of. I just made this video to talk about my specific setup and kind of my weird story of having to have my shift knob sawed off of the OEM rod, which was pretty crazy. So I'll just go ahead and put it back together, and that'll be it for today. Alright, so you can see there's nothing on there. We're going to go ahead and grab our shift boot, have the stitching facing towards you, and really you just need to be very gentle putting this on because I'm just super paranoid now about these clips breaking. So I just place it in there and gently tap until you hear one click. One click in the front and one click in the back, and that's it. Don't try to push down too much, don't want to break those clips, but you can see it's in. I'm tugging on it and it's not coming out. So it's nice and secure. That's pretty much all you have to do to put the shift boot in, and that's why the method of putting a cloth over it works, because it snaps in so easily. Now you just place this through where the rod is, if we can find it. There we go. And now we'll grab our very sad broken vacuum cap again. I definitely need to replace mine, but you would just take your vacuum cap, pop it on there, and then grab your shift knob and just push it down. And that's pretty much my setup. I'll pull it up a little bit. There's no retainer in there right now, but really it hasn't been causing any problems. It's more just annoying to me that it spins around and wobbles a bit. But as you can see, shifts fine with no shift boot popping out. That's pretty much it. Okay, thank you all for those of you who stuck around until the end of the video. I know the setup isn't perfect, but thankfully I have another video where I'm going to talk about a method you can use to greatly improve this type of setup where there are no threads. And that is regardless of if it's a C30 or any other type of car without any threads on the rod for the shifter. So please stay tuned for that. If you guys are new, consider subscribing. I make C30 content and all kinds of car stuff, and I will see you guys on the next one.
Bye.